All right, welcome into the show. Here's the deal. We are in day, I think, number 4, which is nuts because so much has happened even in 24 hours. So let me tell you about what it looks like. So, of course, the strategy is how long it's going to take me to get to $60,000 months in the business. And right now we're sitting usually last month it was 33,000, month before that it was I think 38, anyway, 35, whatever. What I want to share is there are some definite spaces in the business that require some shoring up. We've got some leaks in the funnel. You all know what a funnel is? If you don't know what a funnel is, you need to look it up. But ultimately, it's the way that people come into the awareness of our business and get down to a space where they're actually at the bottom of funnel, which is the place where they buy whatever product. And so I have been working on what our leaks are, and we've got some definite leaks, right? So, what I will tell you is consistently over the last year, since January 1st of 2026, we have consistently closed 6% of our attendees on pitch night, which that means is 6% of the people, however many are in that last night, we actually will close 6% of those people. The issue is that 6% of a crazy number because we typically pay between 350 or $2 and 350 per lead. But by the time we pay for those leads and maybe have 1,000 in the funnel, we might only have consistently 25% show up on day one. So that means 250 out of 1,000 people is like nuts. But when those people show up, when we get to pitch night, we close 6%. And typically, our other leak is on day 2, because we do a 4-day challenge. On day 2 is our largest drop off. We get a lot of people who come and stay in for day 1, they just don't stay for day 2, which is also a bummer. But even at those rates, we still have done $306,000 over the last several months. And so now it's time for us to get very strategic about how we build this funnel and stabilize it and systematize it so it does give us the consistency and maybe close the gap on some of those leaks. So the leak that I'm worried about right now is that we are not everywhere as F. If you haven't heard that before, everywhere is F, and you know the F word. It means that people can find you everywhere on all platforms and understand what you actually bring that's valuable to the internet space. And being everywhere allows people to get comfortable with you, build trust with you, that allows them to be natural and know you when you actually ask for the sale. And I believe specifically as I've been watching some of my peers and a mentor and watching others in the online sales space, they absolutely are doing everything possible to be everywhere. And that doesn't mean everywhere on all platforms, but just be everywhere on the specific platform you're trying to get sales from. So we are a meta heavy, intense business. Our online business solely relies on Meta, Instagram, and Facebook for our leads and for our sales. There are times we get word of mouth. There are times that there are referrals, but specifically, if we relied on what we do for our business, it requires Meta. We have not sold our products anywhere outside of Meta. I have not invested in Google Ads. I have not invested in TV. I've not invested in YouTube. I've really invested a lot of our energy in buying ads and being available and showing what we've got on Instagram and on Facebook. What has happened over progressively over the last year is with the Andromeda rollout for Meta and all the things that are happening in the atmosphere, we are vying right now for attention more than we're vying for just let me show you what I have to sell. There was a critical time when doing sales online really just meant that you had ads, but now everyone can run ads. Now it is how strategic can you be in running those ads, and that's what I'm working on is putting together a campaign inside the Meta Ads Manager that allows us to be everywhere and meet people at different parts of our funnel, at different parts, upstream, downstream, where they get comfortable and familiar with what our offers are, that it's an easy win when they want the solution that we provide. And that's been really good for us, but it also has been a learning curve. When I first started this online business, I was using an ads manager, an ads agency. I had to pay them $5,000 a month. I had to give them $5,000 a month to spend in ad spend. So there it is. I was spending $10,000 a month just for me to get the actual leads, not to close those leads, just to get the leads. So our return on ad spend had to add that $10,000 or $5,000 for the ads agency. And man, our return on investment was pretty good, but I felt like we were wasting money. So last year, I decided I was going to take on my own ads and I was going to run my own ads, not ever having any ads or running ads experience, no meta experience, but I thought they've put together a fantastic, robust catalog of ads for me. They've shown me what it needed, what I could see it in my ads manager. I owned all of our creative, I owned our actual ads account. So I just started duplicating and figuring out what does it require, and I just ran my own ads. I duplicated their campaigns first. We did pretty good. Then it started changing a little bit, and I just started understanding by getting in and doing how the ads manager worked and how to run my ads. And in the beginning, I wasn't spending a whole lot more money, right? They were spending 5,000. I think I started out spending about 2,500. And over time, I grew that strategy and grew that ad budget because I felt more comfortable. And right now we're running at around $6,000 to $7,000 a month, which gets us about 5 times ROAS, return on ad spend, every month consistently. So I know that if I run $6,000 or $7,000 in ads, I'm gonna get a return of $30,000 to $35,000 on that ad spend. But now, again, I really want to now start fixing the leaks that I can maybe spend the same $6,000 or $7,000, but maybe instead of getting 5 times ROAS, return on ad spend, maybe I can get 7 or 8 times return on ad spend, which is why we're talking about the $60,000 a month. Because if I spend 6,000 and I want to get $60,000, that's not going to cut it. The math says if I don't fix anything in my leak, I would need to raise my ad spend to $12,000 to $15,000, and then 12 times 5 gives me 60. Hence, why I believe we can get the $60,000 a month. But I believe that we need to fix a couple of things, not just spend more money in ads, but how about we try to fix those leaks? So one of the ways is what we were just talking about is being everywhere is F. And so that's what I'm working on. And I've been putting together ads campaigns that will show us how we can add in a mix of creatives, not just talking heads. So historically, static ads did not work for us. That's just like the one picture and a little post. Um, the carousel ads did not work for us. We never were able to do bottom of funnel ads, which are basically, oh, it's happening now, a sense of urgency that the cart's gonna close. Those type of ads don't really work anymore. So what we really need to do is figure out, well, how can we be everywhere to where we get them where they have testimonials, they see some of our class material, they get some education about why we do what we do, who we are. They get some information with that looks like talking heads, telling them about how great we are. They'll get some educational type stuff. But at any space, we want some graphic ads, and then we want some reels, and then we want some all these different types of ads that really jump out to specific people. My example of that would be, sure enough, my best friend Michelle, we were talking today, and she was looking at the Instagram, at our Instagram page, and she was like, oh, all of these words, I don't really like all these words. She likes talking heads and things that she can leave a comment on, and she likes to read the comments. Well, when I go into Instagram, I like to see the words. I like to click on and hold it down and read what the words are. I'm a graphic ad type of girl. And so everybody has their own way that they visit and use social media and use and like social media, and they know what they like and scroll through the things they don't like. But if you can have enough of those different type of ads and social media posts and reels, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to be wider, open to a wider audience that could potentially be interested because you've reached them the way they like to be reached on socials, which is completely wild because I was under the impression that, it didn't matter. My people are my people, but it does matter. It matters how you reach the people. And if you can reach them in more ways than one, you're casting a wider net. It just makes sense. But I'm like, duh, why haven't I always been doing that? But remember, I've been okay with doing 5 times ROAS, $6,000 an ad spend. We're good with that. It just looks different now. It's not the same. So that's what I'm working on in terms of leaks. So here's what's so funny about this. I want to be everywhere as F, right? Well, how do you put all of those graphics and all of those ads and all of those creatives together? How do you make these ads look different? How do you do a whole bunch of carousels? How do you do a whole bunch of reels, videos, static ads, graphic posts? How do you make all like I'm a small team. We're a small business. We don't have 50 hands, right? That's where Claude came in. Y'all, no lie, today has been completely eye opening for me because I've been using Claude Code. I've been using Claude. I've been using ChatGPT, mostly Claude. I've been trying to figure out what Claude Code looks like, Claude Cowork. Today it all came together for me, and I am just wild. I think it's wild how I've been able to make this happen. So it started this morning when I left Destin. Hubby dropped me off at the airport. I had, 3 hours to kill. So I sat at the USO and I said, hey, Claude, I went into Claude Code and I said, I'd like for you to make a post for me. I would like and here's the video clip. I want you to use this clip and make a post. Or I said a reel. And it told me that, hey, that file's too big. I need you to download it. I downloaded it to my computer, then re-uploaded it into Claude, and it was like, oh, okay, I can use it now. And do you know that it made a reel for me out of that video? Put an overlay, put a headline, made the caption. And then I went so far as to say, hey, now I want you to actually post it in my Instagram. It asked me for the permissions. And do you know that it took that thing, that video, and it posted it on Instagram, and I didn't do any of that? It was wild. So same thing happened when I was like, okay, so that happened. It took me about 90 minutes. And then I was like, well, I wonder if I can get it to do it another reel, but instead of me having to download it, it can find it. So I said, hey, what if we use Canva for it? So I use actual Claude to do that. The Claude in browser. So I guess the Chrome extension is what I'm talking about. So I went into the Chrome extension. It opened up Canva for me. It connected the Google Drive to Canva. It found the videos I wanted. It put the video in Canva. I watched it take over my browser. Literally watched it take over my browser, and it walked through and made this great post. And I asked it again, hey, I want you to post this to Instagram. And it posted it. Wild. So then I was like, I wonder if I could do a carousel. So I said, hey, I did this one in Claude itself and said, in Cowork, or not Cowork, in Claude. I said, hey, I want you to go into the project. I want you to find the information about the educational piece. I want you to bring that out, and I want you to put a carousel ad for me, 5 to 7 slides. Baby, listen. It went in there it found the transcript, it downloaded the information, it put together the slides, it made the brand colors in the slides, and then it said, hey, I can't actually upload them here. I need you to put them in the drive. So I clicked, it had a button for me to put it in the drive. I put it in the drive. I said, okay, now go find those graphics and make that and put it on Instagram for me. And sure enough, It found them in the drive. It put them all together. It went to Zapier, which was a connector that made it allow it to go into my Instagram, and it posted it to Instagram. Listen, if you aren't using AI right now to get after the things that are a bottleneck in your business, you are grossly you're overworking yourself. Listen, I by the end of this week, my goal is to not only use Cowork, Claude Code, regular Claude. I need to figure out the easiest way for it to put together these workflows that when I wake up in the morning, it has behind the scenes put together 10 pieces of content for me. Do you know right now, if you go to our Instagram, there are I think five or six pieces of content, reels, graphic. There's a reel, there is a post, there is a couple of carousels, just because I was just try it. Like, just let me see if it does it. And it did it. And now I'm like, I'm on fire. And I can't remember the last time I've been on fire in my business in a while. And I'm on fire because I have the actual goal, $60,000 a month, to where I can actually come from the inside and inner workings of the business and actually come from out from under that and allow somebody else to run that for me. And it's going to take me to get some of this automation that we know is available in AI tools and use them. And I'm just one chick. Like, I'm not trying to be the AI guru. What I'm doing is trying to find an actual use case for my business. And while I get other people tell you need to go to the experts and let them do it, and you should know what you've got going on in your business so you can then delegate it and know someone's doing it right. I'm not saying that you have to do it always. And I'm not saying that you won't grow out of those positions, but you should at least have some semblance of an idea how your business runs. I remember one time I asked one of my mentors, I had spent $30,000 on her mastermind. And I remember asking her at the time that I was looking to get rid of my ads agency. I remember saying, "Hey, so tell me, uh, do you?" We were using the same agency at the time. And I said, "When's the last time you did an audit of your ad account?" And she said, "I think my stomach just hurt. No one's ever asked me that before, and I don't know if I ever have." I thought that was wild. Here I is, I gave her 30 grand for her mastermind, and I'm curious about her auditing her ads manager, her ads agency, and her ad account, and she had not done so. Like, what? I'm one of those business owners. I'm a tinkerer. I like to know how the business runs and who's running it and how to run it and why it does what it does. I like to know the ins. Now, that doesn't mean I have to do it, but at least I want to know how it works, and that way I can be abreast of if there's a bottleneck or something is happening. We can address it, and I can help with that. Again, I know specifically, having sold a business before, that you cannot be the bottleneck of your business, and the founder cannot be the sole representative and the lifeblood of the business if you want it to be called an actual asset. The business that I started and sold could never have been sold. No one would ever buy it if I was the one who had to make all the magic happen. If I had to do all the sales and all the back office and if I had to do all of that, then it really wouldn't have been an asset. Who would pay for that? So I understand the value of making your business an asset, but I also understand the value of being consistent and knowing what the business does and staying in your lane. Gosh, if that's not something to say. So this thing that I'm working on in this AI piece, this is me taking on a mammoth amount of information and growth and feedback, and I was refining and figuring out how can this lift what I believe is the one of the leaks that we have in our funnel in our sales line. If this everywhere AF and the creatives that we create where we're everywhere can even give us 1 to 2% lift in our show up rates and our trust value, that is going to be closer to our revenue goal than ever, and we can get there pretty quickly if we figure that out. And so one of the things I'll tell you is data is king, queen, and you got to know your data. So literally, I have every launch data from the top to the bottom. I have every ad, every dollar we spend on ads for each launch. I know what our landing page conversion rates were for each launch. I know what our close rates were for each launch. I know our show up rates for each day of each launch. I know who arrived and who was in our pitch night for each launch. I know how many people were in our launch and how long it took them to buy when they become a customer, how long they were in our world before they bought. I know that number. I know how much money we are leaking in bad ads. Like bad ads would be ads that we wasted money on because they were losers or Meta decided not to funnel any money there. I know how much we should be spending per lead if we stay within our range. 369 is our cutoff point. Anything over that, we're spending way too much per lead. I'm actually leaking that right now. I'm spending $4.55 a lead, but that's because I didn't spend any money last week to get people into the funnel this week for the launch, so I'm trying to catch up. There are so many ways and so many things that you have to keep track of until you systematize. And do you know, after running this business for a couple of years, I was not ready to systematize yet. And I knew it, I knew it, I knew it last week when I decided to put on paper what the goal was for this year and 12 months. I knew at that point that I had gotten to a space where I was when I started getting ready to sell Women Travel Abroad, the first business that we sold. I knew then, oh, you're back. You're ready. It's time. So all roads are leading toward me getting to the $60,000 a months, and also tying up these leaks, systematizing all the processes, knowing exactly who's on first, who I'm going to delegate that to, and how the team is going to grow, and what money will be left and what money will be there to make sure that the business thrives and continues to do it in a well-oiled way, the well-oiled machine, if you will. And so I'm very excited about this week because this whole Canva, Remotion, Claude Code, Cowork, Claude, all of that, and figuring out how to get this content. Because again, I'm telling you, if you look at the big wigs, they are doubling down on showing people all of the content from all different angles, all to converge on one spot and one offer. And that's where we are, y'all. It is not the time to be willy nilly. It is time to buckle down and buckle down on what you know your circle of genius is and figuring that out and literally going all in on that thing. And I'm saying that as I'm on this YouTube channel telling you about how I'm building that business, but it's in real time. I've been concerned, like, should I show you some of our screenshots of the money we made? Do you care about the proof or not? I can tell you this. I have a business intelligence tool that if anyone ever asks me for it, I have this report that I have online, and every week or every time we have a launch, it gets updated with the money that's been spent and what we've done. And I have no problem sharing that because I just believe in the data. And I built that dashboard through Claude, and Claude goes in there and updates it every week for me and lets me know exactly what it looks like so we can be very clear about where we stand and how our launches are doing. And I must say, that data has been able to help drive what this goal is and how we can move forward in the trajectory of the business. And I know for a fact that I am not going to be able to continue to do business as is unless I want to stay at the $35,000 months. And $35,000 just isn't going to cut it for me to retire. It just isn't going to cut it. I have too many expenses. I'm over leveraged. We got buildings and houses and college tuition, and we just have too much going on, and 35,000 just isn't enough. And that sounds nuts because wildly enough, I have been making $35,000 a month and for all the time. And when I say making it, I mean having revenue in that. I'm probably bringing home maybe 5 or 6 of that a month. That's not enough. I give a lot of that money, and when I say that, a lot of it goes to the real estate side, I think to the tune of 6,000 of it. 8,000 goes to payroll. 6,000 goes to ads. So 6 plus 8, that's 14. Plus ads are 6. eight for payroll, then another six for um, the real estate. So now there were 20. Then I got to pay 30% commission. So we're talking about another three or four. So now we're at 24. Then I've got the actual expenses for the business, which is about six. So now I'm at 30. So again, when we do $35,000, I'm typically only getting about 5,000 of that. Well, that's not enough. I want more. I want more. And so that's why I'm on a mission to get after the bottlenecks, the leaks, all the things in terms of the funnel. And so, yeah, it's been a very exciting day. I flew back from Destin, and that was amazing for me. I spent the weekend. You know what's funny? I had class tonight, and I forgot all about it and had to actually do class from my phone, which is nuts. I've never forgotten that I had a class before. It just goes to show where your mind can kind of wander off to when you're getting really knee deep in what are we going to do and strategy. And this is when it gets real fun and we start to buckle down. And so I'm excited to be in this moment again where I feel very strong and confident about how we're going to get to where we're going to get to. Um, Yesterday we had our call with some potential trainers. I always try to hire from within anyone who's going to be operating that closely to the business. So we need someone to be able to teach the class so it doesn't have to just be me. And so I sent an all call out to any of our past students and said if they were interested. And so that was a good one. We had about 7 people show up, which I'm very happy about. We never get a big turnout on the first one, but I only need one or two facilitators in order to teach it. And so that went very well. I'll follow up with them this week and give them some more information about how to be involved and being one of our trainers. But this is an exciting time to be in online business. If you ever thought maybe you wanted to try to figure out how you can be an online business and make money online, I think this is the prime time to do it. I believe that if you get in here in the next 6 months, you will absolutely figure out that, oh my gosh, what took me so long? I'm all about sharing anything that I know and what to do with you. I believe very strongly each one teach one. I always have. And I want you to value what I'm giving you and just tell you that this is nuts what we're capable of doing right now, y'all. The internet is a vast ocean. It's a wide blue sea, and you can make some money. It's like going fishing, just pulling the fish out. Now, I'm not talking about not adding value. Everything that I teach, all the things that I give to my students comes from me having gone through and done the work. So I'm a show and prove girl. I don't have anything to prove to anybody else other than the fact that I like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm an expert in my field at this rate. There's not many people who can tell me much about running ads. Not many people who can tell me much about being in your own ads manager, making creatives, all of that, and that's but me imitation and duplication and meditation and just getting in there and doing it and making mistakes and being unapologetic. I think my video from the other day, I think I recorded it in vertical, so it looks kind of wonky. But guess what? I'm still learning on how this YouTube thing works. So I'm not making any apologies for that either. I'm going to stay consistent, do the things that I said I was going to do, and show up, tell you what's been happening, and tell you where we get to and how close we're getting to $60,000 months and what we've done in order to make those lifts and tell you how things have changed. And this is becoming a little bit easier for me as well. And I like being here. And I hope that you all get joy out of it as much as I do. All right. Talk to you tomorrow.